2012's To the Wonder, which is a film by Terrence Malick, starring Ben Affleck, Olga Korylenko, Rachel McAdams, and Javier Bardem. Logline is, after falling in love in Paris, Marina and Neil come to Oklahoma, where problems arise. Their church's Spanish-born pastor struggles with his faith, while Neil encounters a woman from his childhood. And honestly, that summary is probably just as esoteric as this film actually is. So this film is, the reason why I put this at number one is for several reasons. But the main one is, I really do feel that if I hadn't, this is the first time I've seen this film. I feel like this was definitely right film, right time for sure. That it hit me in a way that I don't think if it had been another year, I might have got taken away the same experience that I did in watching this. So this is a Terrence Malick film that I had not seen. It's part of a sort of a loose trilogy of films he made in the early part of last decade. So this is the first one. There was Night of Cups and Song to Song. And all three of these films are really very plot light. A lot of voiceover narration, shots of nature, shots of people, very similar to Malick's other work, but there really is very little plot in this. It's more about what the characters are feeling and kind of going through. And it's really a film about self-reflection, which is something that I think this year really brought, even more so than 2020, where there was a little bit of sense of, adventure in a weird way in the beginning of the lockdown, because you didn't really know what was going to happen. Then it kind of dragged out and sort of became a weight on you. And this year, knowing that things were probably going to be opening back up, it did force on me, at least, a lot of thinking about myself and self-reflection on things. And that's what this movie is really about. I mean, this movie is all about all the characters in it having some sort of existential doubt, identity crisis. It's really like, what do you want to make in life? What choices do you want to make that will lead you to be happy? And much like the other themes that I've mentioned here about returning to the world, and is it the same as when you left it? And no, it's not. It's going to be different. Like Olga's French character in this film, she starts out the movie with Ben Affleck in Paris, and there's just gorgeous shots of Paris and very romantic. They're kind of walking around, and you want to be there instantly. And then she goes to Oklahoma, and then they have some problems, and she goes back to Paris to kind of like go back to her old life. And it's shot very dark. City's overcrowded. It really, the luster and the romance is all gone, because she kind of can't go back to those same feelings that she had when she first met Ben Affleck's character in the beginning of the film. And I think, again, that's a lot like, for me at least, this feeling of, well, you can't go back into the world and be the same person you were. So who are you going to be now? And also just the way this movie is shot, I think really helps force a lot of self-reflection on the audience members. So DP Lubeski is one of my favorite DPs, shot this film with Malick, a lot of shots from the back of Ben Affleck, which really helps you as the audience then feel like he's your cipher. Like, it forces you to kind of bring your own thoughts and emotions into the film to kind of fill in the gaps, because there is so little going on. I mean, I really do think what's so great about Malick, and especially these three films that I mentioned that there's kind of loosely connected in theme, is it because there's no plot really in the film, and it's just kind of emotions. They're slow. I'll say it. They're slow. You have to be an active participant in the film as you're thinking about the same things the characters are thinking yourself. And it sort of forces meditation, and that's how you can get something out of it and enjoy it. And if you're not willing to put up that work or feel comfortable doing that, you're really going to get bored and not going to get into the film. So because you have to bring to these films your own sense of self-reflection and like a forced meditation, that's why this film resonated for me, because that was a lot of what 2021 was about, like self-reflection and forced meditation. So I think if I'd seen this film any other year, I might have thought it was okay and beautiful, but not really much there to it, because again, there's very little plot. But because it sort of helped get me in this meditative mood and led me through a lot of things of self-reflection and meditative experience during the film as I was watching it, it really did resonate with me a lot. And I'm definitely glad I picked this year, almost 10 years after the film came out, to actually watch it. It's a film I'll definitely go back to often and really think about what I was feeling in this year, in 2021.
Yeah. This is maybe too personal of a question, but I'm curious, watching this movie and even post it in general, what has been like the biggest self-reflection for you?
Yeah, I think there's really these questions about when COVID is over and when lockdown is over, like who do I want to be spending time with? What things do I want to be doing? What things, should be take up the bulk of my time? Should it be my job? Should it be activities? Am I where I'm supposed to be, like geographically? Like that's a big part of this movie too. They go back and forth between, Paris and Oklahoma, and each have their pluses and minuses. You see the negatives and the positives of both of those things. So yeah, it's honestly like all the big questions. Really, this year has been a lot of that for me. And to this film as well, much like A Good Year actually, are two films I watched by myself. And for some reason, movies for me that are a lot more about, that are slower, that are more meditative, but on the other token are more cheesy. Both of those types of films, if I watch them by myself, I tend to enjoy them more for some reason. I can kind of be in my own head and not feel like I'm enjoying it with other people or an audience where you're bringing other things to it. Like Bond was great with watching with other people. But this film, I don't think if I saw it in a theater, I probably would have gotten bored because it didn't force me to be alone with my own thoughts. So seeing it alone and having what this film is supposed to do to you, again, I think, which is, just deal with the restless parts of your soul and make you question and reflect on those. I don't think I would have gotten that if it wasn't for me being by myself. So all of those things kind of came to mind as I was watching this film, but also were a part of 2021 for me. Just those questions being asked of myself.
Yeah, no, totally. I've never seen this movie because I feel like this movie kind of got lost in the shuffle, and it just sort of felt that it was very similar to some of the other Terrence Malick movies that he's done in the last, I don't know, 5-6 years, I should say. So it's good to hear that this resonated. But you're right, one has to watch this, I feel like, in the right frame of mind and setup. So I'm excited to go check it out, given that this is your number one movie. That's saying a lot actually about, movies, this movie. So excited to check it out.
Cool. Yeah, definitely do. I mean, it was not critically, I'm not surprised you hadn't seen it. It was critically, I don't want to say panned, but it didn't get well reviewed. No. And that's why I had not seen it for so long. And this is what, much like Ridley Scott and what you were mentioning too with your filmography gap filling, I was doing that with Terrence Malick, and this is one of those films I picked up. And yeah, so definitely check it out.
Hey there, it's Alex. If you like the review and discussion Karan and I just had, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Movies That Shaped Us, to get full episodes. Every other Wednesday, Karan and I cover a topic around important people, places, events, and moments in our lives, and then explore it through 3 of our favorite movies. Subscribe right now or follow our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts via the link in the description below. Hope you join us for the journey.